Hi everybody, Becca Forsyth in Elmira, New York. I've been asked why I work so hard for organizations like the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival. Well, let me tell you, I'm about to graduate with a master's degree in social work from Rutgers University, with certification in trauma-focused work with survivors of violence against women and children. This semester I've studied the neurobiology of trauma and what it physically does to the brains of survivors. It literally acts like an earthquake inside their heads. One of the most common things that happens is that a switch gets flipped for hyperarousal. In other words, trauma causes people to be hypervigilant, always wondering what's around the next corner and what's going to happen next, constantly on the lookout. They are affected by their surroundings with a sensitivity that can't really be understood unless it's been experienced, God forbid. You see, part of what makes me choose this path was that I heard the cries of my city that were screaming out to me for years. I lay in bed at night and I hear the screams of the ambulances and the police cars. I hear the distant echo of gunshots. I wake up to heartbreaking headlines of drug busts or overdoses. I wonder as I get my morning coffee today, how many more people are waking up in a world that they don't recognize, a world that's been shattered by trauma. One cry that I heard struck me to my core. It was the cry of the family of Kelly Stage Clayton, a beautiful 35-year-old mother who was slain by a hitman hired by her husband Thomas Clayton, a former hockey player for the Elmira Jackals. For the first few weeks of October 2015, the news would replay that anguished cry of her sister Kim from the scene of the crime as she realized that something terrible had happened. That scream went through my body like electricity. Kelly's whole family was shattered that night. What could ever make them whole again? Clayton was eventually found guilty and sentenced to life in prison, along with his former employee Michael Beard, the actual perpetrator of the brutal killing. He was recently filing an appeal on a technicality. As of this taping, I can't really tell you which way the judge is going to rule. I can tell you that it has drummed up a lot of memories for me, and I cannot imagine what her family is going through again. It's got to be like aftershocks of the earthquake all over again. However, the court of public opinion is showing its unique perspective. Check out this recent news story showing this convicted murderer in a picture with his victim, but the picture that accompanies the story portrays them as a loving couple. That's what we call a culture of entitlement. Most news stories who portray persons of color feature scary mugshots that serve to alienate and dehumanize that criminal, but they chose this stock photo of a happy couple to accompany the story of a convicted murderer. The Clayton case seemed to be the beginning of the end for the Jackals, and after 2017, many thought hockey had left Elmira for good. That was until the summer of 2018 when it was announced that Robbie Nichols, the former Philadelphia Flyer, would land a minor league hockey team here in Elmira. He made it pretty clear quickly that this was going to be a new team with a new attitude. He called them the Elmira Enforcers and introduced them with this mascot, who appears to reflect just about every negative stereotype that a law enforcement officer could have in a city that features not one but two maximum security prisons. In December, just 2 months into the illustrious career of this team, several members of the team were involved in a bar fight in town that resulted in one man ending up in ICU at the local hospital. In early March, there was a fight between the management, the coach, and the referee during a game that culminated with 911 being called out on the ice. All this during a game. The press conference that the enforcers gave in response to this event, the fact that the owner, Robbie Nichols, was being fined $25,000 and that the coach was being suspended, Robbie said it was a shame because they played some good hockey, and other than that, it was a great weekend. In the meantime, the team reached the playoffs and played for the Commissioner's Cup as a part of the championship series for the FHL. When this was announced, they included a clever hashtag, Embrace the Hate. They say that they should play with a chip on their shoulder and see the privilege of having other teams hate you. One of the team members said specifically, we need to embrace that. We need to love that they hate playing us. Then make them hate it even more by chasing the championship. This message was flashed on a monster lighted billboard that reflects out onto the main street of our city. Embrace the hate. This is what we want the survivors of trauma to see as they walk down the main street of our city. Well, they met the challenge. Game 2, they lost again. Apparently another controversial call by the refs. On their way back to the locker room, a fan threw a soda at the team and it hit the goalie, who responded by getting into a physical altercation with that fan, resulting in him, the forward, and the coach being suspended again by the league. They won the third game but lost the fourth, ending the series with another scuffle that apparently involved the police again. So many fights and so many fines, so many suspensions. So how do our local municipalities respond? We declared April 26th, 2019 as Elmira Enforcers Day in recognition of their stellar feat of reaching the playoffs in their freshman attempt. This picture captures our local mayor, Dan Mandel, honoring the team owner, Robbie Nichols. Interesting side note, before becoming mayor in 2015, Mandel has served as 26-year career with the Chemung County Sheriff's Office with a long history as a correctional officer at our local jail. So much violence, so much entitlement. We keep looking the other way and honoring the achievement at any cost, invalidating an entire generation of survivors who struggle to get out of bed every day. This team has rose from the ashes of the violent death of Kelly Stage Clayton, glorifying hatred and violence, and it's really hard to stomach. So many survivors of violence against women and children feel defeated by the relentless attacks society has served them on a whole day in and day out. We ask ourselves why women don't report. They might ask, would you listen if we did? Would you believe us? Many don't even see these things as crimes. So what does it even matter? It matters to me. I ask everyone involved in this local culture of entitlement to remember that there are real human costs attached when we say things like embrace the hate, when we honor abuse and violence and we objectify victims. It affects the real people who wake up in the rubble of what was their lives after the earthquake of trauma. What happened to we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men were created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Them among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Does any of this still apply? We draw on the histories of resistance that echo their truth down through the centuries, and the power of the blood that has been shed through the generations of struggle. We loudly proclaim that we will move forward together and not one step back, because there is no room for hate in this house.